If you ever experience your wardrobe being too full, asking yourself, do I actually need all this stuff? And when looking it up online, you may come across the term minimalism. And with minimalism, it is the intentional promotion of the things we most value and the removal of anything that distracts us from it. You tend to focus more on the things that are required and less on the details around it. In school, for example, you might come across the type of student who will see sixes on their report and think, you know what, I passed every class, good enough for me. Versus the student that would see 8s and 9s on their report and think, too bad, it should have been higher. Now, this whole example is relevant unless you live in places where your school systems have something like a GPA, but I have never heard, I don't know what that is. But to go more in depth, you can experience two kinds of people living with a minimalistic mindset. You can have someone that has a more basic form, I would say. Let's say that they would need a car to go from A to B. They don't go leasing a Mercedes just because they need a car and they want that specific one. Because when you live with a minimal mindset, you tend to put the emphasis more often on the need than the want. But they also don't necessarily go buy the cheapest fourth used vehicle that they can find. And with that said, you can also have someone that lives with an extremer form of living minimum. Someone that would choose this car on purpose. They allow themselves to only live in white walls and 2 shirts. I respect it on one side, but on the other, what's more important about a minimalistic mindset is removing unnecessary things so that one could focus on what is more important. And what is meant by unnecessary could be anything. Friends, material things, but also desires and goals. And just to be clear, it is not the case that someone lives minimum, so now they cannot have a TV, nor have a table to put their TV on. But when you are in need of something, or want to have something that would make your life easier, you prioritize the need above the want. Let's say that someone would like to buy a bag to put their stuff in. If they would only be focused on needing a bag, they would probably go for, well, just a bag. A want would be considered a bag from, let's say, their favorite brand. And then you can also go further and have something that's called a luxury. That would be considered a bag from an expensive brand, or buying 3 bags because why not? Well, if this person is more minimalistic, they would be more likely to go for the first or the second option, even though they have enough money to buy far more expensive and far more than they need. Something else about a minimalistic mindset is someone's expectations. Imagine that someone would have the mindset of thinking that they need a mansion to become satisfied. Well, then as long as they don't have this, they wouldn't really feel satisfied. Buying $1 million house, which would be considered huge for most people, still wouldn't be enough to satisfy this person. And having higher standards isn't wrong at all. You can want whatever you want, but minimalism is more about desiring less of what you want and focusing more on what you need. Plus, and someone else said it really great, the less we need to become satisfied, the more satisfied we become, and the more we want, the less we feel that we have. But regardless of this quote, there are lots of people who would struggle if they were to live with a more minimal mindset. And one of the reasons could be that certain countries are living in a consumption culture, where relentless advertising campaigns encourage you to have more, faster, and better, which will stimulate more and more people to buy things that are not really needed. I see, I want to have, and now I'm prepared to work longer hours to obtain it, something which I do not really need. Or worse, I have convinced myself that I do need it. People always want more, and are more focused on wanting more, rather than what we have, or need. And I mean actually need. And in conclusion, you can practice a more minimal life, or don't, that's your life. And yeah, that's about it. Thank you for watching. Take care.